The word fan is, of course, short for fanatic, but what is it that makes sports fans so crazy? Derek Togerson is here with someone who may have the answer.
All right, lads, it's NHL playoff time. If those guys can play through broken legs, they're going to suck it up and get through a little laryngitis, because I got a guest who's going to do most of the talking for me here. Craig Bender, thanks for coming down, wrote this book, great one, Sports Fan 101, Score the Balance in Your Relationship. Kind of tell me what this is all about, Craig.
Well, this is a book that a sports fan can give to the non-fan, saying, this is everything I've been trying to tell you about sports, why I'm so passionate about it, but I've never really been able to come up with the words. So this is a way that a non-fan can see the world through a sports fan's eyes. However, it's also for the sports fan to see the world through the non-fan's eyes, know why they don't like sports, why it's on TV all the time, and why it gets in the way of the relationships and priorities that may come up.
So this is going to help me explain to my wife why I can be in a sports office all day and then come home and watch another game.
Exactly, because this is part of who you are, and that's something that non-fans just don't get. They may or may not have grown up with sports like you or I have. And when you grow up with it, it truly does become part of who you are. So absolutely, this is a book that you can give to her and say, honey, go ahead and read this, because now you'll get to know me just a little bit better.
Okay, so are you advocating the wife or the significant other needs to understand why we're crazy like this, or trying to help us not be quite so crazy and maybe understand why people think that we're a little ludicrous for being such staunch fans?
Hey, we can be staunch fans, but it's not just for your wife or a girlfriend. Actually, this book I wrote for my mom, because whenever I go home for Thanksgiving or for the holidays, sports is always on TV. So I sit there and watch it with my dad, I'll watch it with my brother, but my mom, she wants to try and talk to us. And as a sports fan, when you're sitting there watching the game, talking is not one of the things that you really want to do a whole lot of, because you're actually strategizing with the game. You're watching everything. And so, absolutely, so this isn't just for your wife or girlfriend. This could be for a mother, for a friend, just someone who just doesn't understand why sports fans are so passionate.
One of the chapters in here is called The Addiction.
Yes.
Can sports actually be an addiction, like a nicotine or an alcohol addiction?
Well, it can definitely be an addiction. I mean, this is our reality TV. I mean, you look around the world right now, everybody's addicted to watching reality TV, except this is a reality TV that is unscripted. And this is something that not only that we've been watching since we grew up, but this is something that my dad's been watching since he grew up, since my grandfather has been watching since they grew up. And so what this does is it brings generations together, especially if you watch the same teams. Even if you like different teams, it brings a different struggle and a fun, combattery relationship sometimes that you can just have fun with.
So is that why it is in sports we throw things at the TV? If your political candidate loses, bummer, you don't get that mad. If something else happens, you don't get that mad. But if your sports team loses or does something you perceive as dumb, you get so angry about it. Why is it sports that draws that emotion out of people so much?
Because the more you put of yourself into anything, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, or a favorite team. For example, the Chargers. When the Chargers lost and I was at that game, I was sore physically. I was tired for a couple days. I was emotionally drained. Sports is an emotional roller coaster. You have your ups, you have your downs. And when you have those downs, and those big downs can happen, that's when you want to throw something against the TV, which I don't necessarily recommend, but there's got to be an outlet to go ahead and get that out. So how do people do it? They talk to their friends, they go to sports talk radio, they get it out, some friends, family, what have you. And that's sometimes the best outlet that sports fans can go ahead and get rid of some of that bad emotion.
All right, then now we have the roadmap for getting to some of that bad emotion. Where can people get the book if they're interested?
You can get Sports Fan 101 at sportsfan101.com. You can also get it at theauthorhouse.com, barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. You can go ahead and, it's not in the bookstores yet, but hopefully sometime soon.
Very good. Craig Bender, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming down. The book, of course, is Sports Fan 101, the Score Your Balance in Your Relationship. Laz, if I'd have had this about 15, 20 years ago, life would have been a whole heck of a lot easier, I'll tell you that.
Thanks, Derek and Craig.